Hey you guys, Matt Allen here. Welcome back to Tactical Bassin. Today we are talking spring underspins, but instead of just talking about it, we are going fishing. Come along, we're gonna head out on Clearlake. We've got beautiful pre-spawn conditions, clouds rolling through, but overall stable weather, and these bass should be feeding. We're gonna throw a variety of underspins from larger weedless options down to little tiny models, and we'll see what works. Today we're going to focus on a few different areas. Everything pre-spawn leading into the spawn. So we're going to focus on funnels, areas that will naturally narrow down and the fish should collect. We'll focus on spawning bays, points leading into spawning bays, natural areas where these fish should be. I've got 5 different underspin heads and a variety of baits tied on. We're just going to mix and match and see if we can get these fish to interact with the baits. Probably the biggest misconception and one of the most common questions we get surrounding an underspin is, which bait is the right one for me? Which one is the one that will work on my lake? And it's, while there might be preferences, there might be favorites that will work on a certain lake, that is such a hard question because all of them will work on almost every lake in certain conditions. So it's hard to answer that because you need to understand that on a given day, one might work better than another. Or on a given spot, one might work better than another. You would be amazed how many times in a single day that I'll use every bait on that deck on different spots because different spots have different size bait fish coming through and the bass want that different bait. So keep that in mind. Don't get locked into a single bait or a single size. Hopefully I can illustrate that today and we catch fish on a variety of these baits. Let's find out. I'm kicking this off with a Spin Tricks head, 1/2 ounce Spin Tricks, 4.8 keitech. I start here because it's that larger profile. If I can get them to eat this, odds are throughout the course of the day, I'm going to catch a better quality fish. Now I may need to downsize, but I like to start here. With that exposed hook, it's not perfect in and around cover, but when I'm fan casting and covering water, it's ideal. If they won't eat it, we change, but this is where I start. Nice fish to get us started. Awesome. So we were throwing that Spin Tricks head, beautiful fish, but we got in here where it was a little too shallow. So I stayed with the 4.8, but went to an owner flashy swimmer, weedless, which allows me to fish up slower and closer to the cover. We've pulled into a new area and I've gone to a new bait. This is a Hog Farmer underspin, and I put an X-Zone Swammer on the back of it. The X-Zone has this really wild, aggressive kick, but the underspin will calm that kick down a little bit. But it's a completely different size, profile, color. It's definitely a more aggressive kicking bait than a keitech, and I really like that up around docks and tight pieces of cover. So we'll throw that in this stuff and see what happens. So far, we're really not getting the results I would like. So I've moved out into the wind. A lot of anglers have a tendency to get away from the wind, but wind, waves, while it may not be fun to be in, can help the bite. So we're back here in the back of this bay. We're gonna see if there's any fish pushed up here, and then we'll just keep adapting until we find them. All right, these fish are proving to be pretty tough today. So we are going to downsize. We're gonna go to the secret weapons. Two things, the Cool Baits Underspin, little tiny keitech, and also the Megabass Okashira head, which is actually not an underspin, but it is a bladed head. So we're going to include that today as well. We're gonna go back and forth between those baits, downsize, slow down. We should be able to put it together once we do that. That is just the secret weapon of underspin fishing, is downsize, downsize, downsize till they start eating it. Literally the first cast with that Okashira head. Oh, it's a big crappie. .8 keitech on that little spin head. A nice crappie. See if we can get some more fish here. Maybe turn it into some bass, perhaps. It's another crappie. Go figure. Well, something's biting, and biting quite well. I think we'll switch over to the underspin. We'll try that. But obviously, fish are willing to eat right now, but when we were throwing those bigger baits, it wasn't happening. Again, I always prefer to start with the bigger bait because my odds of a big bite go up. It's not that these little guys won't catch big fish. They absolutely will. They will catch giants. But it's less likely. You're not targeting those bites like you are with a bigger bait. Let's keep going. We'll stay with the small baits. It's working. We'll just keep developing our pattern as we go. Nice one. Awesome. Again, not the fish we're here for, but we'll take it. Fish are out here a little bit. We're in 10 foot, they're probably in 7 to 8 feet. We're just crawling this cool baits along the bottom now. Little 1/8 ounce cool baits underspin, 2.8 keitech. Even though I'm using a bait caster, it's actually only 6-pound line. I'm using 6-pound fluoro. This is a Conquest 2 power. So it's virtually a spinning rod. Ultra, ultra, ultra light bait caster. Just makes it really fun when you hook these fish up to fight them on that ultra light tackle. Okay, the title of today's video should have been how to catch crappie in post-front conditions. Wow. Somehow it went from beautiful pre-spawn to windy, cold post-front in just a couple of hours. We started off okay. We started off getting bit. Now we're out here in the wind. We're downsized. And we're catching crappie. Now granted, we're catching big old slab crappie. These guys are giants. But I think we're gonna have to make another move. Oh, there's one. Not pulling very hard. I'm thinking crappie. It was a crappie. Let's go out a little deeper. We'll see if we can catch a bass. Then we'll check one other spot. If that doesn't work, we're gonna run all the way out there to that big mountain in the background. Find some calm water, hopefully less post-frontal, and we'll go from there. Big guys. One after another after another. Came off. That was definitely a crappie. Moving out deeper, trying to get beyond them, hoping the bass are out there past them. All right, guys, we are going back the other direction. We went small, still not getting bass, but we're in the crappie thick. There are bass here, so we're going up again just a little bit. We're going to the hog farmer, bigger hook, 3.8 keitech. We're in between. Hopefully we can get these bass. This is crazy. Black crappie. He's beautiful. Look what he ate. Does that look like a crappie bait? He hit it like a freight train too. Crazy. Just unbelievable. Look what he ate. That is crazy. All right, guys, it's obvious that we made the wrong move. When it got post-frontal, we pulled offshore. We are out of the bass. We are in the crappie. Let me sit down. I'll walk you through these baits. Even though we made a wrong turn today, we left the bass behind. Let me talk to you about the gear, explain the differences between the baits, and then maybe we can tie it up with another bass before we call it a day. All right, guys, let me walk you through the 5 different heads, as well as the 5 baits that I have the most confidence in changing conditions. Although today's changing conditions, we went left when we should have gone right. That's just the reality of it. Hopefully we can piece it back together before dark. We're gonna try and get some more nice fish. But first, let's talk baits and heads. So the baits, first one, the big keitech. 4.8, 4.3 keitech is just that best all around swim bait, just that day in and day out bait that I like to throw. They're soft, they have that super wide tail kick, not a lot of body roll at all, just big, wide tail kick. If you're just covering water, fan casting, searching for fish, it's tried and true, it's easy, that is a winner. Now we'll link all the gear down in the video description for you, as well as favorite colors, all those things. Second one, this little guy right here, X-Zone Swammer. Not swimmer, swammer with an A. Comes in a few different sizes. The swammer, way more erratic. The swammer has this huge rocking body roll along with its tail kick. Now you lose some of that roll when you put it on with an underspin because the blade will keel it out. But on a regular swimbait head, it's all over the place. But this is much more erratic, higher vibration. If you're around shad or smaller bait fish where you want a lot of vibration, that's a dynamite option. For the little heads, back to a keitech, the 2.8 keitech. You almost can't go wrong with that little tiny guy on those little tiny heads. 2 more for you. Megabass Spark Shad. Flat on top, keeled on the bottom. This is the most stable of all the baits. It's that neutral middle ground bait where it stays very, very calm in the water, just a tiny little bit of rock and just a nice natural tail kick. In the smaller sizes, it's incredible on that Okashira head and on that little cool baits. In the bigger sizes, you compare it with any of the other heads, it doesn't matter. Then last but not least, River to Sea D-Walker. The D-Walker is a head or is a bait that does incredible things in the water. Now, I've been fishing it for almost a year, and some of my opinions have changed. It's made of a more rigid plastic. I mean, I can really pull on it and nothing happens. Because it is more rigid, I'm throwing it less and less on the weedless heads. I still throw it a ton, but I prefer to throw it on the exposed heads. What I found is that on a weedless head, if you throw it on a weedless head, like a flashy swimmer, you'll want to bend it up a little bit so you just have a tiny bit of hook exposure. Because it is stiff plastic, it's harder for the fish to get the hook if it's buried. If it's tipped up, it's okay. On any of the exposed heads, it's incredible. I love it for that. I love it for fishing faster. We've seen that underwater footage now over and over again, where this bait's got this great tail kick. The head is actually hunting in the water, and it's hunting left to right and up and down. It's the craziest thing you've ever seen. This bait has the most unique action out of all of them, and it gets bit unbelievably well. A ton of vibration. It's super aggressive movement, tons of secondary action, and it gets smashed. But because it is stiffer, I like it more with that exposed hook point. Now, the heads, let's walk through those really quick. That's that little cool baits that we were throwing. It pairs up the best with that little 2.8 keitech. The keitech's destroyed already, but let me show you. There it is sitting on there, perfectly paired up. Now today, that's a crappie bait, but sometimes that is a big bass bait. That's a dynamite option. Whether you fish it on the bottom, where that blade is just bumping along, or you fish it mid-column where that blade is spinning, either way, it's great. The other small one, there's that Megabass Okashira head. Here it's paired up with a 2.8 keitech. That's what we were throwing today. But you can also pair that up with the Spark Shad. But you see this blade is not actually an underspin. It's in front, and that little guy just twirls around. But it is a bladed head. It plays in the exact same category, so I don't want to leave it out. Getting into our bigger heads, we've got the Flashy Swimmer, the one that came through for us so far today. The Owner Flashy Swimmer, 5/0 hook, 4.8 keitech. You can fish it with a variety of baits, but that's just that tried and true. You know they're gonna eat it. They ate it today. You can fish it quick, mid-column. You could drop it down and just bump bottom. You could skip it under docks. You could throw it deep in cover. As long as you hide that hook point, it will come through anything. Awesome option. And then over to our exposed hooks. These last two. Hold them up here where I can compare them. We've got the Hog Farmer and the Blade Runner. That is a 1/4 ounce Hog Farmer. That's a 1/2 ounce Blade Runner. The Hog Farmer is more stable in current. It's a dynamite head, gets bit really well, comes in some beautiful colors, although I love just silver underspin heads, but it comes in some great colors. Pairs up well with a variety of sizes. We put that 3.8 on here towards the end and kept catching crappie on it. Then the Blade Runner, the 1/2 ounce, that's the one that is just, it's where I start. I love that thing. 4.8 keitech on the back, a big X zone, that big river to sea. All of those can do extremely well on there. Which one you throw depends on the day and the lake. Today we got bit on the 4.8 and the 2.8 and the 3.8. Different species, of course. Hopefully we can wrap it up here before dark. Try and get another bass. But either way, guys, I hope you took something away from this. There's a lot of great heads on the market, but these heads and these baits are incredibly consistent, and I've got a ton of confidence in them. Like I said, I'll link them all in the video description, along with some of our favorite rods and gear to throw them. There are two kinds of bass fishermen. There are the guys that are just happy to be on the lake, and there are the guys that are constantly trying to improve and adapt and change things to do better, to be better, to catch more fish. We are the latter, as are most of you. We are constantly adapting. We're taking in information, we're changing what we're thinking, and we're making adjustments. Today, we made the wrong adjustments. And I can tell you where we went wrong. We went wrong. We were here earlier, we caught a bass, a nice one at that. We were on pattern. We hit a couple stops and didn't get a bite. Now at that point, that tells you that either it's a tough day or you're not on them. So we went to the wind and we had that fish hit the spin tricks and pull that bass tricks down. And that fish was offshore. Now in hindsight, maybe that was a big crappie hitting that thing. Maybe it was a random bass that did it. But that sent us down the wrong path. That offshore bite is when I adapted and went offshore. I thought, hey, it's tough, it's cooling. All of a sudden it's windy. Maybe these fish are backing off a little bit. That's when we got into the crappie. We read the signs wrong. That one was random, or it was a crappie. Today is just a difficult day. The fish are not aggressive, but they are still shallow. So I backtracked all the way to where it began, where we actually saw success. We're gonna see if we can wrap it up with another good fish out of here. Come back to the last place before we took the wrong turn and start again. Missed him. Shoot. Bummer, bummer, bummer. Oh. Well, hopefully we get another opportunity. They're here. That's what we needed to know. They're here. We really did make a wrong turn out there. Oh, nice follow. All right, we finally got another one. We had to turn to an A-rig. These fish are so shut down, I couldn't get them to commit to the underspin. But you know, the power of an A-rig, getting that reaction strike, snapping that rod, it'll get those fish to eat when they'll eat almost nothing else. Today was an odd one. You know, we definitely took a wrong turn together, but we were rewarded with some awesome crappie. So if you're going to take a wrong turn, take it into giant slab crappie. Pretty wild. But guys, the information absolutely still applies. Gonna head for home, put it on the trailer, come back out tomorrow and try to put it together all over again. If you enjoyed the video, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and we'll talk to you soon.